We broke relationship with God. We sent God away as if He was a teacher that we had outgrown. Friends, people tend to talk about sin in terms of how bad we can be. We make value decisions based upon which sins are worse than others. We sometimes claim that something that used to be sin is not a sin anymore. We treat sin as if it's a garment that we can put on or take off at our own will. This is the most immature picture of what sin is about. You see, at its heart, sin is a rejection of God's authority. Do we understand that, friends? We know the will of God, but instead of doing the will of God, we choose to do something else. We say that our will is more important than the will of God. So like our first parents, we tell God, you don't have the right to make the rules. Or we say something like, I know better than you. And we push God away with our attitudes and with our actions. We are the ones who keep the feud alive. Instead of letting us continue in our destructive ways, instead of giving up on the children that He loves, God displayed great moral courage by reaching into the world through Jesus. He had to risk further rejection if He was going to pursue, if He was going to initiate reconciliation. Jesus once explained it this way in John 3, we're going to start in verse 16. Jesus said, "For God so what? He loved the world." He loves you, friends. He desires good for you. He loved the world so much that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish. That word condemn means to lock somebody into the worst sinful place and say you can't be anything more than just a sinful person. It didn't come to condemn the world, but to save the world through Him. And oh, the disservice we've done to God by making Him out to be an overeager judge who's looking for an excuse to send us to hell. We've done Him wrong by ignoring the fact that He's a concerned Father who wants to pull us back into relationship with Him. He wants to reconcile and to fix what has been broken by sin. God is reaching out to us, but we have to take His hand. We have to say yes to that invitation to reconciliation. The Apostle Paul explained it this way in Ephesians chapter 2. We're going to start reading in verse 1. As for you, you are dead in your transgressions and sins, in which all the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the Spirit who is now also lived among them at one time, gratifying the cravings of our sinful nature and following its desires and thoughts. Like the rest, we were by nature objects of wrath. But because of His great love for us, who is rich in mercy,